It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Kyle Benedict. Today we're talking AmeriCorps and Goodwill, kind of the partnership that they have here in northern Arizona, central Arizona. And I'm joined today with Kayla Carroll, Career Resource Specialist and AmeriCorps volunteer, as well as Sharon Tewksbury Bloom, who is a Project Director for AmeriCorps. Thank you both for making the trip down here to be with me today. Now, we kind of have a lot to talk about here about this, some programs that you guys have. But first of all, Kayla, how did you get started and how did you become an AmeriCorps volunteer?
Well, at the time I had been working for Goodwill, and the employment specialist at the time approached me and said that it'd be a good program for me to get into. It'd help me with schooling. I'd be doing what I was already doing as a hobby on the side, which is just helping people find jobs. So I approached Sharon and asked her what it was all about, and I love the program, so I started working for it.
So how long have you been with AmeriCorps?
Since October. Since
October, and you're enjoying it?
I love it.
Now, Career Resource Specialist, what does that mean?
Well, what I do is I assist people in finding jobs that fit their needs. So I do an assessment with people in the beginning so that I can match them with an employer that, will fit their employment needs. I help them fill out resumes. I help them fill out the online applications. I connect them with community resources to help them stabilize themselves financially, because that's a barrier to employment, to be homeless or to not afford to get a haircut, or you can't get on the bus to get to work. So I try to break down those barriers and help them get to work.
Mm-hmm. Sharon, how about you? How long have you been with AmeriCorps?
Yeah, so I've been the project director for AmeriCorps for about 3 years now, and I'm an AmeriCorps alumni myself. I did AmeriCorps my term of service back in 2007 with Coconino County.
Now, can you talk a little bit about the program? Youth in Action, is that the name of the program? Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we are actually the longest running AmeriCorps program in the state of Arizona.
Wow.
We are on our 21st year of service to this area, and we are housed at Northern Arizona University, but we actually work with nonprofit partners like Goodwill or local schools to address what the community needs are, such as helping people find jobs, and then we recruit AmeriCorps members to fill those needs at our partner sites. So we work with about 25 different partner sites, such as Goodwill, and we have about 50 AmeriCorps members every year.
Kayla, can you talk about the partnership that you guys have with Goodwill?
Okay, with Goodwill, right now, AmeriCorps put me in the position to assist people economically, mm-hmm. To have that stability. The partnership with Goodwill, basically, I'm here to help people find work and to break down the barriers. She has different partnerships throughout the community, mm-hmm. But mainly what AmeriCorps is here to do is help people find jobs.
And I think so when you go and people donate clothes or furniture or whatever it is to Goodwill, that's helping fund these programs.
Yes.
Correct.
Whenever someone donates something to Goodwill, we sell that at Goodwill, and pretty much 86% of that goes directly to the mission side, which is assisting people with work, assisting people find work that have barriers such as a disability or a mental disorder or even a criminal background. We've been working with the Reentry Project as well. Every dollar that you spend at Goodwill, is going to a good cause for a good reason.
Mm-hmm. Now, these people who, do they approach you? I mean, if I'm someone who needs a job or is looking for help finding a job, do I approach you, or is most cases are you reaching out to these people, like you mentioned, the Yavapai Reentry Project? What's the process there? How does that get started? Actually,
a lot of people are referred to us, from the recovery homes, Angie's House, even from Spectrum and RSA and DDD at the Department of Economic Security. Or sometimes I'll go across the street to the bus stop and hand people my cards and say, you need a job, come help me. Or I'll see people walking on the streets or see people holding signs, I'll give them my card to help them find a job. But mostly, yeah, they do need to come to me.
So once they come to you, how does that process get started? Where does it go from there? I mean, I come to you and I say, you know, I really need a job. I'd like to have a job. Where does it go from there?
I schedule an intake assessment to find out what your needs would be. Then I try to find an employer in our area that matches that, and I'll give you up to 4 leads a week, depending on. Most people find a job within the first 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
In my office.
She's good at what she does.
But then again, you know, sometimes I have failures, and that's okay though. I let people know if we didn't fail, we'd never learn anything. So I give them 4 leads a week at least, and their responsibility is to apply for it. If they need assistance with their resume, I'll get them that. If they need help getting to an interview or getting close for an interview, I can try to assist with that. We give out vouchers for clothing, so that's a really huge plus, because that's a huge barrier for a lot of people. They go in jeans and a raggedy shirt to an interview. They're not going to get a job.
Now, what are some of the examples of some of these jobs that you are sending people to?
Well, recently we had a hiring event with ResCare, and that's a caregiving position. These people didn't need to have a background in caregiving; they just had had to have a drive to care for people. I try to connect people with Walmart. I try to connect people with Enchantment. Enchantment is probably the biggest hiring agency right now with me. A lot of people that come in do get hired there, but there's also a dozen, you know, more employers in the area that people get hired at.
And it's all based off of kind of what people would like to do, correct?
Yeah.
Because one of the first things you said when we sat down here before the show is that you want to give people a job and put people up in a job that they enjoy.
Yes.
And it's not just dreading going to work every day.
Yeah.
So do they kind of come to you and express interest in things that they are interested in and kind of past jobs that they've had, and that you help take all of that information and pair them up with, send them in the right direction?
I don't want to send someone who really likes working with animals to go work at the senior center. I want them, you know, right now the Sedona Humane Shelter is hiring, and I had someone, and I had to, hey, you should go apply there. You have, you know, experience working at a humane shelter. You enjoy animals. Why don't you go work there? And
so you're doing work down, not just up in Flagstaff, but down here in Sedona and Cottonwood. Right.
I'm mainly here in Cottonwood and Sedona. I just take classes in Flagstaff for AmeriCorps. So
someone who's interested in, or maybe wanting to find a job, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, they'll just call the phone number.
Okay, 928-634-1397,
yes.
Correct? Okay, so once again, we're going to actually take our first break right here, but we're sitting down talking about AmeriCorps and Goodwill and kind of the program to help people find jobs. For more information, you can go to 928-634-1397. I'm Kyle Benedict. We'll be right back here in a couple minutes.
What do you think it would be like to teach? Chances are, you have no idea. Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places, and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable. That's what it's like to teach.
If you store your guns properly.
So not just anyone can get to them.
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories.
Or scary news reports.
I won't have to hold someone's hand and shout you're gonna make it.
And I won't have to tell my kids this isn't a drill.
Please.
Please.
Please. Please.
Please.
Do it for us.
For us. Do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. If you own a firearm and are not using it, please be responsible and be sure that it's stored in a safe place. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm Kyle Benedict, and today we're sitting down with Kayla Carroll, Career Resource Specialist and AmeriCorps volunteer, as well as Sharon Tewksbury Bloom, who's the program director for AmeriCorps. First off, Sharon, how are you guys getting money? How is this funded, this program?
Yeah, so this is an interesting partnership where we get to leverage a couple of different sources of funding. So AmeriCorps is a national program that is federally funded, and then our office, Youth in Action AmeriCorps, we apply actually through the governor's office in Phoenix, and they choose us to leverage those federal funds. And then we find our local partners like Goodwill, and they provide local money as a match to that federal money. So it's an interesting way of bringing in some outside resources from the federal government, but then matching them with the local money that's raised right here in Cottonwood, mostly from their retail stores.
Okay. So now when it comes to employers, do they contact you? Do they come to you and say, once they kind of learn about your program, do they approach you about getting this partnership going to help find people to apply for their jobs?
I would love for more employers to contact me. The more hiring events means the more people in our community have jobs. A lot of people have those barriers, like I said, so it's hard to get to Sedona when you don't have any wages. So if Sedona employers contact me and have a hiring event, they can hire some of those people that would be great employees. They just don't have the resources to get out there at first. But once they get the job, we can get them a bus pass. So then they'll definitely be there every day.
Can you talk about the bus passes? You keep bringing that up, and how your work, how that helps with getting bus passes. You mentioned haircuts, clothing. Can you talk about that?
Well, the 86% goes to small portions. We try not to just hand them out to everyone because, sometimes people abuse things. But if someone gets a job and like I said, they get a job in Sedona, but they live in Cottonwood, or if they live in Sedona and they get a job in Cottonwood and they need a bus pass to get to work because that's a huge barrier, we can provide that for them. We just need information when they're going to get paid, when they start. That kind of builds, okay, we have someone that's got a job, this is their barrier, let's break that down by giving them a bus pass. The haircut vouchers, we try to work with that, but the mission now has haircuts every Monday. Kelly Mormon does that. I got her to volunteer to do that. So.
Great, there you go. So now, it seems like you guys aren't necessarily, you're not doing all the work to get these jobs for people. You're just kind of helping guide them in the right direction. Is that a good way to look at it?
Yeah, I'm just here to encourage and be a personal cheerleader.
Now, you mentioned some of the work you're doing with nonprofits, schools, and some different public agencies in the community. Can you talk about, let's start out with schools. What's some of the work you guys are doing with schools?
I know that they're doing tutoring with some of the schools up in Flagstaff and a few of the surrounding areas. They're also doing the STEM program, which is science, technology,
engineering and
math.
Yeah, Kayla's really interested in maybe being a teacher in the future, so she has done some volunteer work here locally. And that's something that, AmeriCorps is all about service. So we encourage our AmeriCorps members to think about how else they want to be of service to their community. We have AmeriCorps members mostly right now in Flagstaff who are at schools, but we'd love to work with the schools in Cottonwood as well to be able to place AmeriCorps members like Kayla full-time or part-time working directly with students in a school.
And what's the overall goal that you guys are trying to achieve there?
Well, our primary focus has been on literacy and improving reading scores, particularly up to 3rd grade. A kid's ability to read at grade level has been correlated with their likelihood of actually graduating from high school. So that's where we've put a lot of our focus, is in tutoring and reading.
What about switching gears over to the nonprofits? What's some of the work you guys are doing with nonprofits?
Yeah, so we have different focus areas. We work with, for instance, the local fire department, bear job with Highlands Fire Department on disaster services. Of course, in Arizona, disaster is usually fire. So we are focused on preventing fire with reducing fuels in the forests, as well as fire education. And then we have environmental education, as well as working with volunteer management for some of our small nonprofits that rely heavily on volunteers.
So with that, your volunteers are going in there and they're helping educate? I mean, as far as we're looking, volunteer teachers or volunteer trainers, or what are the volunteers doing specifically?
Yeah, our AmeriCorps members are always providing some sort of support and additional capacity to the nonprofit. So they're not meant to replace an employee or even to replace volunteers. They're meant to give that extra infusion of someone's energy and enthusiasm. So oftentimes they would provide additional volunteer recruitment or additional man hours for something that's already being done, like the reducing the fire fuels.
Now, Kayla, going back to kind of your helping out with finding people, matching them up with jobs and getting their career started, how many people have you placed in jobs, would you say, so far since you've been working with them?
Since October, it's been 60.
It's been 60. Now, most of these people, what about follow-up? I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say.
A few people follow up.
Okay. Now, is that their job, or is it your job to kind of
It's their job, unfortunately. I wish I could follow them around and say, did you get a job? Some people might think I do that when I run across the street to the bus stop. Did you get a job? But it is their responsibility. If they do contact me, Goodwill has a program of, we want people to find jobs and keep jobs. So what we'll do is after 30 days of keeping your employment, we can get you a gift certificate for $25 to buy anything in the store. After you keep a job for 90 days, it's a $40 gift certificate for anything in the store. It's kind of an incentive to check back in with us. We also have a job club where people can kind of just vent and talk about things, and people can provide each other support and tips on how to keep their job or get a job if they're struggling for that. We also teach a financial literacy class in Flagstaff. We're hoping to bring it down here and teach some more people on how to, stay financially stable. Basically, it's their responsibility. Follow up with me. I can give you support if you do, type of thing.
You mentioned a little bit about the training as far as with what to expect going into a job interview. Is that kind of the bulk of the training that you do before these people go in and try to get a job, or what's some of the other duties that you do in order to get them in a position that they can then get a job?
Well, I provide mock interviews. I've had one recently who was not very good at it. She came in before every interview to try to calm her nerves, and I'm hoping that this last job that she interviewed for, she got, because she's really awesome, and it's just the interview she gets nervous, just like I get nervous or other people get nervous. And so I provide mock interviews. The resume assistance is that's something I really pride myself on. I enjoy taking nothing, because people just tell me a few short sentences and expect me to make an entire page of it and turning it into something great. So it's like selling them.
So can people go to you, maybe they don't want the help necessarily finding a job, maybe they have kind of some positions that they have in mind that they want to apply for. Can they come to you just for mock interviews or just to get help with putting together their resume?
Yes. That's something that I really enjoy doing. If anyone calls me and says, I need help with my resume, I'll say, all right, let's set an hour aside. Even if it doesn't take an hour, let's work on your resume. Let's perfect it.
Okay, great. We're going to take our, go ahead.
I was just going to add, they have computers to use too, so a lot of people come in to be able to use a computer and get that on-site help.
Yeah, have the internet.
Great, so it's not just for people who need help finding a job, it's kind of just to help if you need help getting that process started. Okay, great. We're going to take our second break. Again, for more information, you can call 928-634-1397. We're going to take a short break talking about Goodwill and AmeriCorps. When we come back, we'll see you in a couple minutes.
This is the moment I knew. His future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
Time to wake up.
I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
Don't forget, you've got a job to do today.
Hey, Mom. I got the job. Thanks.
Got the job. Welcome aboard.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does. And like that, you're a job creator.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm Kyle Benedict. We're talking AmeriCorps and some work they're doing with Goodwill and finding people jobs, talking about volunteers and some other programs that they're doing with nonprofits, some schools in the community. So I guess we'll start out, Sharon, talking about just volunteers for AmeriCorps. If someone is interested in becoming a volunteer, what are some of the positions or some of the duties that volunteers have, and how can they become a volunteer?
Yeah, so our AmeriCorps members, we tend to call them National Service members because they do receive a living stipend while they're serving. So it is a chance to give back to the community while also being paid a small amount so that you can try to live, because a lot of our AmeriCorps members are full-time. So if they are interested in joining AmeriCorps, you have to be over 18. You have to have a high school diploma or a GED or be working on your GED. And then you have to be a U.S. citizen or have a permanent resident alien card. That's pretty much it. So really you can be any age, any background, and you just contact our office to apply.
Now, do they have the option of what they kind of want to do once they're a volunteer? What are some of the options there?
Yeah, so throughout Northern Arizona, we have 50 different positions every year. Most of our positions start in the fall, so they'll start in September and last for a whole year. And they could be at Goodwill, they could be at schools, they could be fighting fires, they could be working with environmental education in a nonprofit. So a really huge range of things. And that's what I love about my job, is being able, just like Kayla does, I have people tell me about what they're interested in, and then I help them find a service position that fits them.
We also do stuff with the arts, I've noticed. I brought that to my friend's attention because she's really wanting to be an art student, and I said, they're hiring for an art person with AmeriCorps.
Really? What's kind of the program there?
We've worked with a couple of different cultural organizations, so like Flagstaff Arts Council, the Museum of Northern Arizona, the Arizona Historical Society.
All sorts of things.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, great. Well, thank you both for coming on in today and talking about that. It's great. If you are interested in becoming a volunteer, for more information with AmeriCorps, you can call 928-523-6395, or with Goodwill, more information, 634-1397. That's going to do it for Countywide today. I'm Kyle Benedict, and we'll see you next time.